Hello, and welcome to Old Toy, New Joy, the show where I share with you my previously enjoyed toys I purchased from online sources, thrift stores, and collector shows that once belonged to someone else. It may be hard for some to believe, but basketball was not always as popular a spectator sport as it is today. During the 1970s, most games were not aired on TV, despite the fact that there were talented and exciting players. I did not collect basketball cards when I was a child. I didn't even watch basketball as a child. I was watching hockey. It's not until I became an adult that I started to really appreciate the sport of basketball, loved watching it on TV, and started thinking, the cards are pretty cool and unique in their own way. So I do not have any 1948 Bowman basketball cards or any 1957 Topps basketball cards yet. I do have this 1961 Fleer Walter Dukes. Dukes was a 7-foot center who played for the Harlem Globetrotters in the early 1950s before joining the Knicks, Lakers, and Pistons in the NBA. He was an excellent rebounder and was known for his extremely aggressive style of play, as he would lead the NBA in personal fouls more than once. And the 1957 Topps is his rookie, but here's his 61 Fleer. Very simple design, white and green on the back. Very simple photo, sort of a black and white image over color. Very retro, very late 50s, early 60s looking. I like it. There's some great cards in that set. That's the year of Wilt Chamberlain's rookie card. Bill Russell's card is also very expensive. I think we got Jerry West and Bill Cousy in there and some other guys, so very collectible set. And here's a 1970-71 Topps Tall Boy Art Hazard. I have another 1970-71, which I featured in a past episode. That's of Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm not going to show it today. You got to go check out that episode, please. It's where I feature Pete Rose, Bobby Orr, Jim Brown, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, my cards of those awesome goats. But anyways, here's the 70-71. Sorry, Walt Hazzard. I said Art Hazard. Art Hazard is a fictional trumpet player. Walt Hazzard. And this is not the first year that Topps made a tall boy basketball card. They also did it the previous year, and that is the year of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's rookie card. I don't have any of those. But Topps had made tall boys in baseball and hockey, and here's their 64-65, I believe it is, hockey card, tall boy. I like the basketball one. Again, just a picture of a player over color. Very retro. You can see the socks up to the knees, the very short shorts. That was the style at the time. And these are easy to find. You can get these for a few bucks at shows or on eBay. But I don't think I'm going to pursue too many of these. I like regular size cards myself. Here's the back. Lots going on there. Kind of like a late 50s baseball card with the cartoon and all the stats and stuff. Very busy. They call Walter the Wizard. Okay. He looks a little confused in that picture. Where's the ball? It's huge. It's right in front of you. That's a beach ball. Here is my only 1973-74 Topps Wilt Chamberlain. This was affordable. $10. Not because he's sort of almost miscut. The centering from left to right is atrocious. No, it's because unfortunately there's some paper damage on the back, a little bit of glue on the bottom. Otherwise this would be 10 times that amount. No kidding, at least. Awesome card nonetheless, of an awesome player, extremely dominant player, dominated the NBA throughout the 1960s like nobody else. You know what, for fun, let's just take a quick look at his stats, because the stats are pretty insane, especially in his early years. I don't know if you can see it, but in 1961-62, he averaged 50 points a game. And his rebounding was insane as well. I think only Bill Russell could really contain him back then. And then there were more and more big guys after that, but he was the first dominant big man. Wilt was bigger, stronger, faster. He just revolutionized the game because of his size and ferociousness. And here we have a 1971-72 Topps Larry Jones of the Miami Floridians of the American Basketball Association, and a 1972-73 Topps Flynn Robinson of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I have several of these cards. These are some of my favorite basketball cards from the early 70s. Very colorful. Just poses, no real action play shots or anything. Very colorful. Very retro, very cool. I like the old school graphics. And let's take a look at the back. So, sort of similar. A little bit of orange and gray, a little bit of yellow and gray, some stats, a little bit of a background story, a cartoon. Nothing too exciting on the back. And I find these cards all the time at trade shows for about $1 a piece, and I like to pick them up. I kind of make a list of what I have because I forget. I have a lot, so I forget what I have. And they're mostly common cards that I have. And you know, Topps is trying to make good images that are action poses. It's not always easy, especially in the 70s. I find Topps with baseball, the images are sometimes hard to make out, or the players are very small in the picture. And these are big dudes, so if you want to fit 2 or 3, 7-foot players in a shot, you've got to really zoom out. And the lighting wasn't great. Again, like, it's very dark in the stadium there where they're playing. But this is a 74-75 Bob Lanier, and Bob Lanier was another rebounding big man like Wilt. And there's the back, kind of dark gray. It's almost like a salmon color. The cartoon on the left. And here are 4 1978-79 Topps cards. We've got Doug Collins, who of course was a Bulls coach right before Phil Jackson. And we've got Darnell Hillman and Dwight Jones, and the rookie card of Jack Sikma. And I really like this design. And let me show you something. I think this is the first time that the circle in the corner with the player's head in the shot ever showed up in at least a mainline sports trading card. But OPG and/or Topps would do it again with the baseball set in 1984 and their hockey set also in 1984. But I think I like the 1978 Topps basketball version a little bit better. Still very similar. Dark gray orange back compared to very different backs for the baseball and the hockey. And here is a 1977-78 Topps basketball card of probably the most exciting and influential player of the 1970s, Dr. J. Julius Erving. And he was the first dunk master and also the first player to endorse a sneaker in the basketball sort of world. Converse, before playing for the New York Knicks of the NBA, Erving played for the Virginia Squires and New York Nets of the ABA. And if you're not familiar with the ABA, it's the American Basketball Association, and they're the ones that introduced a few things. One is the colorful ball. That was theirs. The three-point shot, the 30-second shot clock, and a lot of halftime sort of entertainment shenanigans. They were a fast-moving, exciting, free-loving kind of organization. And again, most of the teams kind of were in financial trouble, by the mid-late 70s and went defunct, and the NBA swallowed up the 4 best teams, and the rest is history. But if you look at the back of this card, of course, by this time, he had played a season with the NBA, but if you look at the stats, they've got 3-point stats for his ABA years and nothing for the NBA year, because the NBA had still not adopted the 3-point shot. A lot of the decision makers in the NBA were not convinced with the 3-point shot. They didn't think it belonged in the game, and I don't think it was until about 1979 or so that it was adopted. And now you see 3-point shots all the time. Some guys are quite amazing at it. Steph Curry. And here are 3 of my 4 1979 Topps basketball cards. We've got, again, Doug Collins, again, Bob Lanier, and the great Artis Gilmore. All great players, especially, I think, Artis. But my favorite of the 79 Topps would have to be my 1979 Pistol Pete Maravich. And if you don't know, Pistol Pete still today is considered by many to be the greatest NCAA player of all time. I think over 3 years he averaged something like 44 points a year, which is insane. There was high expectations on him when he entered the NBA. He didn't quite meet those numbers. I mean, that's a lot to ask, but he still had very decent stats and a very good career. Let's take a look at the back. Yeah, so by this point, he was still, 25 points a year average over his NBA career. There's nothing wrong with that. I like this design. I like the basketball. I like the little banner at the bottom. I like the shot of him running onto the court. The mustache, everything. Very cool. A cleaner 70s card, I think, than the previous ones. And I remember when I first saw these quite a while back, I thought they were kind of a weird card design. These are 1980-81 Topps basketball cards. This was the rookie year of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And the version of their shared card, along with Dr. J, is extremely desirable. That's the holy grail of the set. And what makes this set so different from others is that there really are 3 cards in one. And they'd never done that before, and as far as I know, they haven't done it since. But there are perforated lines separating these potential single cards, and kids could bend them and tear them, and then you'd have individual mini cards. That's why finding the intact cards is always a little bit tougher, especially with the superstars. These were not expensive at all. You can get these at card shows. You can get these on eBay for $1 or $2 a piece. If they're more or less common players. But again, the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, even like the highlight cards or the stats leader cards, and especially the regular cards, those are hard to find. They can be $60 to $100 separated, let alone intact. I don't know how well these did. I mean, they didn't repeat the design, so maybe the reception wasn't as great as Topps was hoping, and I'm kind of glad. I think it's weird to have a card you can pull apart like that. It's like having an awesome sticker card and somebody peels off the sticker and sticks it on their fridge or their bike or something. Now it's done. No longer collectible. Topps would make one more set of basketball cards after this in 1981-82. I don't have any of those right now. And then they stopped making basketball cards. Perhaps sales just weren't high enough, and maybe this set was partially responsible for that. I don't know. And we'll look at the backs of these. So, of course, they're separated on the front. So they're going to be separated on the back. Stats are kind of small. You got a scoring leader one in the middle there. Oh, there's Rick Barry. Did I realize I had a Rick Barry? Oh, cool. I didn't realize I had Rick Barry. What's weird is this one, the Marquise Johnson, it's supposed to be a rebounding leader. When you look at the back, it actually shows the... Oh, It says Bucks rebounding leaders, but it shows the players' points, not their rebounds. I don't understand that. There would be some small basketball sets produced after that by companies such as Star Card Company, but no mainline cards until Fleer decided to try their hand again at basketball cards in 1986. And here are my 1986 cards. Because of the fact that this set contains numerous rookies of star players who hadn't yet appeared on a mainline card, such as Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, James Worthy, Isaiah Thomas, Bud Webb, and many, many more, this set is highly coveted today, and even common cards such as these ones are probably more valuable than they should be. By all accounts, the print run was pretty low, as Fleer wasn't sure how many they would actually sell, and sales were low that year, so they made even less of their 1987 set. It wasn't until the junk wax era was in full swing a few years later that collectors realized, I think, how special this set was, and also Michael Jordan by then had become a household name. I really like the look of this card. It's very unique. So here's a common card, Alton Lister. I like the back, pink and the white, and like light striping down the stats. I'm going to call that candy stripe, for the purpose of this video. And I wanted to do a bit of comparison to show just how influential I think the 1986 Fleer basketball card was on other sports trading cards and companies. If you compare the Fleer basketball card from 1986 to this 1987 Donruss Bo Jackson, you'll see that Donruss, I believe for the first time, copied that three-tone border, 3 different colors on their border, and they also have the rounded inner sort of frame. And when you compare the Fleer to this 1987 Topps wrestling card of Hulk Hogan, you'll notice that Topps used the red, white, and blue for their border. Yes, it's the American flag, but still, it's the most exciting wrestling card to date, as far as I'm concerned. And also, with the Donruss, the way they did the name at the bottom is similar to the way that Fleer did theirs. The company in the corner. I mean, some of these may be coincidences and weren't the first times the card used it, but I don't think it's a total coincidence that these guys changed their cards the following year, because the Fleer, I think, was revolutionary in some ways, and a really attractive card overall. I purchased my 1986 Fleers from eBay because I never see any baseball cards prior to 1990 in thrift stores. And although there was at least one vendor selling 1987, 88, 89, and 90 Fleer cards, the last collector show I went to had no 1986 Fleers. I mean, we're talking there was at least 10 vendors with huge setups selling cards, with the exception of a couple of graded Patrick Ewing rookie cards. And here are some 1987 Fleer. Completely different design from the 1986. I've got Doc Rivers, Manute Bol, John Lucas, Xavier McDaniel, and Jeff Malone. The Jordan second year card will cost you $500 to $1,000 in okay condition today on eBay if you want it. And the backs of the cards do still resemble that of the 86. I got the 86 on my left and the 87 on the right. They still have the white and pink. They just sort of rearranged where they want to put it. They still have that bit of candy striping. It's even a little more prominent on the stats of the 87. And as far as I can tell, no other card company was doing this color combination on the backs of their cards. And as I said before, if there was 200,000 1986 Fleer cards, there was like 100,000 87 Fleer cards. By all accounts, the print run was cut in half. So they're even more rare. I did find these at a collector's show. Guy gave me a great deal. They're like $1 a piece. I can't find them that inexpensive anywhere else right now. So I was very happy to get a few. There's Doc Rivers. He's the current head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And Manute Bol, of course, known as the tallest player at that time anyways in the NBA. His son, Bol, is not quite as tall, but more agile, very good player. I watched him the other night. And so here are some 1988 Fleers. We've got Isaiah Thomas, Moses Malone, and Dominique Wilkins, all superstars. And I've been watching a lot of Isaiah Thomas lately because there's some great documentaries out there, not just The Last Dance on the Chicago Bulls, but there's a great one on the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons. He's also interviewed in Dennis Rodman's most recent documentary. So tons of great basketball history and information out there if you're interested. Definitely check those out. I'm not crazy about these cards. I find these particular examples are dark. It almost looks like they're playing outside at night. It just, the lighting isn't great. And I just don't think the pictures pop out against the background very well. We'll take a look at the back. Still got the candy striping, but they've added some green now in the back. But still, they want to maintain that consistency with the backs of their cards, I guess, so you know what Fleer is. In that way, they are being consistent year to year, which I think is a good idea. You can easily recognize a Fleer basketball card from the late 80s just by turning it over. And here we have Fleer's 1988 Superstar sticker. I didn't mention the stickers before, but Fleer did make stickers in 1986 and 87. I just don't have any. And I don't really like their designs, and they're quite expensive. But the 1988, also very different from the regular card, has a unique design, and they would continue to use this design in 1989 with this blue at the top and the little stars. Got a pink back, and it just talks about the player and some of his highlights. And Dominique Wilkins was a great slam dunk champion. He rivaled Michael Jordan in the 1980s, which is good. You got to have competition to kind of separate your superstars and your stars. And speaking of Michael Jordan, I think because the 1988 Fleers were selling much better than the previous years, and they were producing more to meet the demand, Jordan's third-year card is much more affordable than his second year or his rookie. And although I don't collect graded cards at all, this PSA 5 example was very reasonably priced on eBay. It just happened to be the most inexpensive, nice card at the time, and it was graded. So I jumped on it, but I don't imagine I'll be purchasing any more PSA cards. I don't always agree with graded cards and how they drive up the market. Some collectors only purchase professionally graded cards, and that's fine. But as I've mentioned before many times on Old Toy No Joy, I buy the card, not the grade. But in this case, I made an exception. It's a gorgeous card. I think you'll agree. It's beautiful. It's just not centered left to right and a little off top to bottom, but sharp corners, got its gloss, and I just had to have it. It's Michael Jordan. And by 1989, Fleer decided to go with the white border. And it's a very clean look. I like it a lot, and it lets the picture pop out more. There's also still the candy striping on the back, as you can see. So we have Irving Magic Johnson, Karl Malone, and John Stockton, three superstar players. Along with Larry Bird, of course, Magic Johnson helped put a new face to the NBA in 1979. And their rivalry had started in college, and people followed it very closely. They had a lot of respect for each other as well. If you watch highlights of Magic Johnson, his no-look behind the back and off to the side passes while he's running full tilt on the court are pretty amazing. And then in 1990, there was a new player in town, Hoops, also producing basketball cards. And I like the Hoops design. They've got the arc from the court there in the paint. White border again. So here we got Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Michael Jordan. Got a nice picture on the back as well, along with the stats. So this is a nice look, different from the Fleer. You can see some amazing stats there as well. And these three guys, of course, played together on the Dream Team in '92 in the Olympic Games. This actually may be my favorite of the white bordered Fleers. This is the 1990-91 Fleers. And we have Michael Jordan again. The Jordans I bought on eBay, off of eBay. Well, along with the other cards were like $1 or $2, I think, on eBay, but the Jordans was a little bit more. All cards are in nice condition. We've got the Jordan here. So, yellow and white stripes. Still that striping down the stats to sort of separate some of the columns. They've been doing that consistently since the beginning. And of course, Jordan's teammate, Scottie Pippen. And eventual teammate, Dennis Rodman. But for a while, they were rivals when Rodman was playing for the Detroit Pistons, along with Isaiah Thomas and John Sally and those guys. And let's just take a look at Rodman's. I'm trying to think if he had become the rebounding phenom yet. Some of his best rebounding years were still yet to come. I think he was still trying to find himself as a player. Boy, I really like that clean white look around the pictures. It's a nice looking card. Very simple. Simple is sometimes really good. And we've got Hakeem Olajuwon in the back. Clyde Drexler, who of course played for the Dream Team. Magic Johnson played for the Dream Team. Isaiah Thomas did not play for the Dream Team, and there's still controversy about that. Great player, though. Let's take a look at Isaiah's stats. He was the Pistons superstar scorer. Always smiling. You never knew what that smile meant. And 1990 also saw the first appearance of Skybox. And I like these cards. These are premium cards. Very good quality. Really nice, clear pictures with a very interesting sort of color scheme in the background that makes these players pop out. They're sort of superimposed over the backdrop. And gold border. Very nice looking cards. We've got Sam Bowie, Phil Jackson, and Dennis Rodman here. And this Dennis Rodman shot with Larry Bird all over him. I wonder if that's an older photo. I wonder if that was taken during their rivalry, during the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe like in 87, 88? Call me crazy, but I think I've seen that image before. It sort of reminds me of that. They had some great rivalries when the Pistons were overthrowing the Boston Celtics. So let's take a look at the back here, and it's another nice big picture on the back and some stats on the bottom. And then a few more Skybox here from 1990, Rick Smits, Kenny Bannister, Maurice Cheeks, and Mookie Blaylock. These Skyboxes I actually found at a thrift store a couple years ago. I don't find basketball cards before 1990, 91 usually in thrift stores. And even then, it's usually Fleer and Score baseball cards. and Upper Deck baseball cards. That's usually what you see. All that junk wax era where everybody was buying them up, and now is realizing that really much, they're showing up at thrift stores. And then here's my one and only 91 Fleer. Picked this up at a collector's show for like $1 in the dollar bin a couple years ago. Clean card, still going with the white border. Looks good against the red in the picture. I like it. And they still have that candy stripe in the back. Somewhat. So thank you very much for tuning in today on Old Toy New Joy and allowing me to share my vintage basketball trading cards. Please subscribe to my channel and like it, and that way you'll know when I've released a new video. And also I'll know that you like what I'm doing and I'll keep doing it. Also, I encourage you to send in your comments, to share your stories, to enlighten me if maybe I've said something that doesn't quite make sense, or maybe I got a fact wrong. I'm enthusiastic, but I'm not the world's most leading expert on what I talk about. I'm just somebody who really enjoys it, being He-Man, Star Wars, Hot Wheels, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Johnny West, Thundercats, Ninja Turtles, comics, hockey cards, baseball cards, Pogs, Muscle Men. I have over 100 episodes that talk about these things and much, much more. So if it's something you're interested in, I encourage you to keep watching Old Toy New Joy. Until next time, I bid you farewell and happy collecting.